Next is a 2007 sci-fi thriller starring Nicolas Cage, based on the Philip K. Dick short story The Golden Man. Except it's not at all, which is why I use the term Lawnmower Man here. This seems to be a very similar situation to where the studio apparently had the rights to the Dick story, and they had an unrelated script about a man with clairvoyance and a nuclear terrorism plot, and just decided to make this film and slap Philip K. Dick's name on it. And next isn't a particularly terrible film. It was fairly well done for what it was. Had a nice soundtrack by Mark Isham. Cost $70 million and had a huge crew. I got some enjoyment out of it because I like seeing Nicolas Cage playing against type or playing kind of offbeat characters. But it does get me a little riled up because The Golden Man is my favorite Philip K. Dick story. If I had to pick one short story by him that sums him up as a writer and hits you over the head with an almost profane idea, The Golden Man is set in a dark, near future. This was a story that was written, when the 1970s was the future. And as a result of nuclear war and fallout and environmental damage, mutations have appeared all over the planet. And in America, all mutants are rounded up, studied and tested to find out what they do, and euthanized. As the story begins, a salesman shows up at a diner in this small town. And the salesman starts striking up conversations with people about mutants and if they've seen any. One of the patrons at the diner lets slip about Chris, who lives with his family on a farm not far from the diner. The salesman goes to the farm to meet the family, and it's quickly revealed that he's a government agent searching for mutants, that they know Chris is a mutant, and they want to bring him in. Chris's main characteristics are that he looks like a golden statue of a man, more like a god than a person, that he's mute, that he never gets hurt, and he always seems to do things perfectly, even though he never speaks or gives an indication of what's going on in his head. He's secured and taken back to a government military laboratory. He's put in a testing chamber. And it's when they try to use lethal force against him, they realize that Chris cannot be killed. And they discover that the mutation that he has is that he is able to reflexively always project himself into the right place in the future. So they can put him in a testing room with miniguns mounted on every wall shooting straight at him, and not one bullet hits him. Before they're able to figure out another way to kill him, he escapes. One of the female scientists who works at the lab discovers him hiding in an office, and before she knows what's happening, she's making love to him and helping him to escape, which he does, and the scientists and the military men are left with the horrifying realization that there is a man loose who cannot be killed, who is irresistible to every woman he sees, and that eventually his children will outnumber the last remaining humans. So far, so good. But I left out one thing. Chris is non-intelligent. When they examine his brain, they find that he has no speech center, he has no memory, he's mentally completely blank. All he has is this reflexive survival mechanism that makes him indestructible. God, I love this story. Just to have a story suggest that intelligence itself might be an evolutionary cul-de-sac, and that intelligence could ultimately be replaced by some kind of higher level instinct. but that represented a regression in terms of social evolution. And it's also poking a stick at, Nietzschean ideas of the Superman. Here the Superman is a moron who, because of a genetic accident, just happens to have useful survival instinct that trumps having a brain. Yeah, none of that made it into the 2007 movie. Lawnmower Man indeed.